Welcome. So this video is going to be about converting moles of one chemical to grams of another. So let's go ahead and get started. So here is the problem. First thing you want to do is go ahead and read it to yourself. 2KClO3 will convert to 2 moles of KCl plus 3 moles of O2. So that's the reaction. So make sure you label to yourself that this is the reaction. Further reading on the problem, 2 moles of KClO3 decomposes. So it's saying that this chemical, they're giving us a number, and that's the same chemical here. How many grams of O2 will be produced? So if I started off with 2 moles of this chemical, how much of O2 would I create? So since this is what we're looking for, I'm going to go ahead and underline this. And I'm going to underline this as well. If you're looking at the reaction, it does not refer to anything about 2 moles of KCl. So if you want, you can cross that out. Alright, so let's move on to the next part. So here's a drawing section. The drawing section means you're going to look into the periodic table and you're going to copy whatever in that box. So I see that there is 1 potassium, and I'm going to go ahead and find that on the periodic table. So whatever's in this box, I'm going to go ahead and draw inside. 19, and the weight is 39.10. We're going to round it off to 39. Another element that I see is chlorine. So we're going to go ahead and find that on the periodic table. So chlorine is located on number 17. And that weight is 35.45. So I'm going to go ahead and write chlorine. 35.45, that's closest to 35. Another element that I also see is oxygen. So I'm going to go ahead and find oxygen on the periodic table. So oxygen is found at number 8. So I'm going to copy whatever's in that box. So I'm going to copy down 8, O, and 16. 8, O, and 16. So far so good. So now let's move on to the given. So in the problem, it gives me that I have 2 moles of KClO. Make sure you also have the subscript 3. Your desired is what you're looking for. The question is, how many grams of O2 will be produced? So I don't know the number of grams. That's why we're doing the problem. That's why that's a question mark. Grams, and I'm looking for O2. So now I know we're going to start off with one chemical and end with another. That's why this video is moles of one chemical changed to grams of another. Alright, so let's move on. So in the information it says from the PT, and if you forgot, PT means periodic table. PT. So from the periodic table, we have to look for the grams of one of these chemicals. It has to be the grams of O2 because this says grams here. If this chemical said grams, we would find the weight for that. Alright, so since this one says grams, I have to find the weight of it here. From the PT, 1 mole of this chemical, O2, how much does it weigh? Well, 1 oxygen weighs 16 grams. So if I have 2 oxygen, 16 plus 16, that's 32 grams. If the problem says O3, I would add another 16. Alright, now this part, number 2. From the reaction, blank moles of something will create blank moles of something else. So remember, right from the beginning, we labeled this the reaction. From the reaction, 2 moles of KClO3, I'm just looking at the coefficient, creates 3 moles of O2. So the first clue is from the periodic table. The second clue is from this reaction up here. So it's really important to annotate the top part, because if you don't annotate, you might not know where these coefficients are coming from. All right, at this point we have one more step to go. So let's take all these pieces along with our given and piece them out here. So before that, you can imagine, you know, these pieces of information, they contain multiple clues. So this can be a clue. 1 mole of O2 and 32 grams is also a clue. 2 moles of KClO3 is a clue, and so is 3 moles of O2. So each of these as clues will be somehow put into these boxes so all these units can cancel out nicely. So first off, this is our given. We're given that there's 2 moles of KClO3, so that's what we would start off with. 2 moles of KClO3. So now you're looking somewhere here, these units must cancel out because we don't want this chemical anymore, we want O2. So I'm going to put, before I look at any of this, I'm going to put moles of KClO3. And I'm going to look here. Which one says KClO3? Not this one. Not this one. But this one. There's 2 moles of KClO3. So now that I've used that clue, I would just lightly cross it out. So I remind myself not to use it again. On top, you want to finish that clue. So the remainder part of that clue is 3 moles of O2. You don't want to mix and match because they're from different clues. So you can help yourself by saying that this fraction here came from clue number 2 to help you organize your thinking. Now on this one, we only have 1 clue left, so this must be from information number 1. Alright, same idea, you want these units to cancel out. Moles of KClO3, these are the same, and you also want these units to be the same. Alright, so now you want these clues to cross out. So you see how this says 3 moles of O2? The only other clue that would fit is not grams, because that's not the same, is 1 mole of O2. It's from right up here. And now I'm going to put the other clue, which is 32 grams of O2. So now, mole of O2 and mole of O2 can cross out. And then you have these numbers left. So as a reminder, all the numbers on top you're going to multiply. It's going to be 2 times 3 times 32 over 2 times 1. The only unit remaining, since we cross these units out and we cross these units out, our unit remainder is grams of O2, which matches with the desired. We want that at the end, so we know we didn't do any careless mistakes with the units. Alright, so if you want, you can go ahead and you're going to multiply. At the end, your answer is going to be 96 grams of O2. Go ahead and box your answer as your final answer. And now you've successfully converted moles of one chemical into grams of another.